Hi, it's Chicken Bone John here, and I'm just want to have a quick word about fettling one of these, a bench sander. My old bench sander, which is a cheap, I think it's Ferrex, which is an Aldi brand, has finally burnt out after about 3 years, and I had this one on the shelf in anticipation. But don't think that you can use one of these straight out the box and get good results. A couple of things. I've taken off the dust guard which fits under here so I can get the belt off. And I've also taken off this, the dust extract, so I can get at this. Now, what's wrong with this machine? There's a couple of things wrong with this. A, this is not flat. That's rocking. I've hammered this down with a lump hammer to try and get it level. It's not so bad that way. It's fairly level at the edges, but it's high here, here, and here. So I'll show you how I correct that. I've already started doing it. The other thing, these wheels are always, if you can see that, set lower than the bed. So there's always going to be a sort of runoff like that between there and there. This inch here is never going to be straight. So what we do, we wrap these in gaffer tape. You have to be careful so you don't have a seam. So you have to do it carefully and overlap the joins and build that up with gaffer tape. I've done that on every bench sander I've had to get that as straight as I can. But the big problem is that, and so I can take something like my leveling beam here and just keep doing this. And when I've got a high spot, where I know it's high here, here, and here, I go across at an angle. You can see it was black painted originally, so it's giving me like witness marks. I have been using this, an old plane with the blade backed out. I've got an old plane with the blade backed out and some P60. I'm doing it single-handed, but a bit because I'm holding the phone in one hand. But I've been doing that. Can you see I'm going across diagonally? Then I go back here. That's going to take me quite a long time of that. And then the finer grade. But as I say, the paint's acting as a bit of a witness mark. So there's probably a couple of hours work to get that ready for working. Now, what happens if you don't do that? This is high here, here, and here. So it's slightly twisted. So if you put a piece of wood on there, it's not going to be flat. It's actually going to come out slightly twisted. And you want this as flat as you can. Also, you know, if you're sanding to here and these are lower, you're not going to get a flat line between the two. So as I say, what we aim to do is we'll pack those rollers out with gaffer tape until we've got a good straight edge running all the way through. So like any tool, whether it's a hand tool or a power tool, do not expect it to work straight out of the box. And this is not specific to this brand. I got this because at the time they were in, seemed to be a high demand on these things. I go through, they lasted a few years, but I've had several of these. I said, did make a mistake of buying a record, similar sort of thing, but probably 70% more expensive, and it was worse than any I've ever had. The ones from Mart, Clarke's have been fine. I say this is a Lumberjack. The last one was a Ferrex, and it didn't seem quite as powerful. The Ferrex was an Aldi brand. And we did overload the machine. I wish I could find a good machine, but without paying a sort of £1,000 for one of these things, I think I'm going to have to continue fettling and buying these. One thing is, when you're using them, don't overload it. If you feel it's starting to slow down, stop, because you will burn the motor down. You'll melt the insulation on the stator and the rotor or whatever of the electric motor, and it will eventually go bang like ours just did. Also, keep a check on the belt here to make sure it's not worn and to make sure there's enough tension on it, because sometimes it'll slip and people are thinking, oh, that it's failing, it's not got any power. But if you overuse it, it's usually got a toothed belt. The teeth can strip out, or it might be slack. Before I start using this, I'll take the cover off on the back here and just check to make sure that the belt is properly tensioned. Okay, that's it. I'm going to continue. I'm going to get this working so we can continue our work making guitars. Okay, bye for now.